You're listening to the Iterators of the Imperium.
Hi, I'm Miss, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Ryan, and you're listening to Season 7, which means 7 in Latin, of the Iterators of the Imperium podcast, the podcast in which Ryan is still the expert on Warhammer 40k, and I am still the noob, trying to learn about the Warhammer universe. Now, I hope you guys woke up and chose Warhammer lore. And if you did, we would really like to hear from you guys, the listeners. If you have questions for us, you can now leave them on Spotify, of course, and as well on YouTube, if you are one of the 3 people watching over there. Nice. Big up Spotify listeners, by the way. But yeah, we are talking about Dante. So let's get right into it, Ryan. Games, okay.
I just want to make it clear, everything you just said was only about the listeners. We do not care about the watchers on Spotify. Separate category. The rules are different.
All right. It's so funny though.
I realised there, I was like, wait, he does this every time where he just defaults to listeners. We have viewers on Spotify too, and we would also like to hear from them.
Yeah.
Just say it. Like we need to tick these boxes, you know? You got to get the house cleaning out the way first. That's not the right term, but you know, whatever. Anyway, we're gonna go back to talking about this big crazy motherfucker. Because he's this size now. So, it doesn't look like this yet, but he's this size. So.
I thought he was strong. Nothing. It's just
yeah.
These are the images that I've seen of Dante. So.
Yeah, this is just who he is as far as anyone's concerned. He's been this for like thousands of years now.
Yeah.
You know? So, we left off last time, which you may or may not remember. We've been, covering Dante's story to angeldom. I don't know what the term is for becoming an angel. Anyway, I'm going to go angelhood. And we left off after he had undergone the ritual where they first gave him Sanguinius's blood to drink, and then he passed out. And while he was unconscious for a full year, they just fired every Space Marine organ into him that they could, except for the black carapace. So this dude passed out after drinking some crazy priest's blood, and then woke up in a coffin full of blood, probably 4 feet taller, because he was 12 at the time, so he probably wasn't full height anyway. So he probably woke up 4 feet taller and about 5 feet wider, just built like a fucking tank. And just like a full-grown man now all of a sudden. Absurdly powerful creature out of nowhere. And obviously a lot of his other brothers are coming out of these sarcophaguses too, the ones that kind of came in with him, so Lawrence and stuff like that, the guy, the arsehole that he met at the glider area, Angel's Leap, that was the one. So I mentioned last time that the whole thing with the black carapace is that they kind of have to earn it, because it's the thing that lets them wear the proper power armor, like that stuff. So, they leave that out of them because it's not really very invasive to install it once they're, full grown. So, they have to do some time in a scout company, and once they've kind of, proven themselves, they'll earn the black carapace, and in the process, their armor. So, for the time being, it's just a giant, but without the armor. There is a whole thing that goes on here, but after they all wake up and Dante has to watch one of his brothers who went into the Black Rage get shot in the head, him and all the other ones that didn't go insane during the insane transformation process, which realistically I think you should go insane after that, but whatever. All the brothers that didn't go insane are taken away and cleaned up and taken for a feast because they're going to be fucking starving because they've been tube fed for a year now. So they go away and they feast, and then they're given a barracks. And this barracks is only for this new batch of recruits. It's not like it's shared with their entire company or anything like that. It's just for them. And it's bare bones barracks. It's got beds for each of them that can support their weight and, appropriate sizes and stuff. But otherwise, it's there's pipe work on the walls, and it's just like black stone or blank metal or whatever. It's just boring as shit. But there is a reason for this. And obviously, there's a whole new aspect to life for them now, which is like, for example, Dante walks into one of the beds and like in the way you like stub your toe. He basically does that, but instead of just being like, my fucking toes, he's like dented the shit out the bed and launched it across the room by just accidentally walking into it. Because, again, he fell asleep as like a meek 12-year-old boy and woke up as like an 8-foot tall monster of a man. So he just has no idea what his own strength is. And there's also the whole thing of they need to intake blood now, but that's like a Blood Angels only thing. But this is another thing, because like their senses are all heightened and they can like hear the blood in people's veins and things like that. They're like,
We're vampires.
yeah, they basically are, and they're like, get a bit thirsty over here. While they're like looking at one of the thralls, like.
Hey, but then again, what kind of blood do they have to drink if they're vampires? Because
it actually can be basically any blood. Weirdly enough, right? Because this is something I found weird about the Blood Angels when I first, like, started learning about this stuff. Is because I assumed it would be human blood. For some reason, I just assumed human blood made sense. So, because there's the whole thing of, like, if they go feral, they slaughter, innocent humans. So they can be, like, as much of a threat to the people they're defending as the enemy they're defending them from in like, bad scenarios. So that's what I assumed. But actually, they can just drink, like, any blood. It can be from an animal, it can be from a human, it can be from an alien. Yeah.
okay,
They can just, like gut an Eldar and drink its insides and they're fine. Like, quenched. It's weird, but, yeah, it just needs to be blood. I don't know. Because to me, that makes it sound like it's a psychological thing. Because, like, alien blood and human blood are probably nowhere near the same in, like, a chemical sense. So, like, why would it do the same thing? So to me, that sounds like a psychological thing. That they feel like they need to drink blood rather than they actually have to. But, whatever.
Maybe they do have to drink it, but there's difference in how much it affects them. So
It might be like a potency thing, yeah.
Yeah, like the human is like, that's a little snack. But if you can like get something big, that's like kind of like steroids.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. To be fair, even drinking like animal blood is like steroids for these fuckers. But it's not. From what I can gather, they never are very clear about this, right? But from what I can gather, it's not that like drinking blood actually makes them like stronger or hones their senses or anything. It's that having not drank blood for any real amount of time makes them weaker and makes their senses worse. Because they're starting to get this like red thirst thing where they start to like get agitated and they have a worse handle on their emotions and stuff like that. So drinking blood does make them stronger, but only in the sense that like they were weak because they hadn't drank blood yet. If you get what I mean. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
It reminds me of that Snickers commercial. You're not you when you're hungry.
That's it. That's basically what Blood Angels are, right? They just need a Snickers. That's the gist.
And blood Snickers.
Yeah. So yeah, this is another thing that they have to come to terms with. Not only the sheer difference in their own body, but also the fact that they like hunger for blood and don't really understand it yet. But they wake up in the morning in this new barracks that they've been given because they basically got taken to clean up, eat, and then go to bed. And they wake up in the morning and there's like alarms going off, and it's because it's first day of training starts now, right? There's no fucking around with these guys; they're straight in. And they expect that it's going to be like combat training, but it's not. It's meditation. So they're forced to meditate for ages now.
Again, that.
Oh yeah, the fucking Blood Angels love meditating, man. To be fair, Space Marines, like, for all of them, doesn't matter what chapter or legion you're originally from, meditation turns up in most legions, like, way of doing things. But I think it's that whole thing of, like, they're literally made to be warriors, and if you don't temper that to maintain some humanity, you will just become a mindless killing machine. And a lot of the legions and chapters did this with meditation and stuff like that. It's like you need an outlet for the other part of yourself, the originally human part of yourself. since you've like amped up the murderous part of yourself to 1,000 by turning into a Space Marine, there needs to be a part of you that isn't just a murderous like creature, you know. Otherwise, that's all you will be. So that's why a lot of the chapters get into like artwork of different types. It's why the you know what, right? The best example I can think of, I'm pretty sure this is why the Space Wolves drink so much. Because, like, Space Wolves are Vikings, so they spend half their lives shit-faced. And I'm pretty sure this is why. I think it's like, getting drunk and having a good time is their form of meditation. Because it's the same thing the humans did, eh? It's the same thing they did when they were humans. Or would have done, if they had grown to adulthood as humans. You know? They would have just got shit-faced around the campfire and told stories. So I guess it's just a way for them to maintain a part of their humanity, so that they don't, you know, go too far to the, you know, genetic super soldier side. But meditation, that's what they get taught first. And then, after hours upon hours of meditation, they are taken away up through the fucking fortress to this old-ass workshop. And it's more like an art studio kind of workshop than it is like an armory type workshop, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, this is a big part of this, where they are going to have to learn to do art of some form. They can pick the form, but they have to learn to do artwork. This is actually part of their training. This is why their barracks was so, like, barren. It's because as part of their training, they are expected to learn art crafts, like sculpting or, you know, painting or whatever, right? And create stuff to make their barracks look as gilded as the rest of the fortress does. So it's like a challenge for them in that sense. But there's a whole thing with the Blood Angels loving doing like fine crafts work, right? It's a huge thing for them. But there's a good reason behind it, right? So there's these two weird concepts with the Blood Angels. There are the angelic graces and the warrior's virtues, I think it's called. But it's like things to live by, right? It's like a code of conduct almost. So the 5 angelic graces are all more towards the keeping the thirst and the black rage at bay by maintaining the humanity side of yourself in a way. And the artwork and all that kind of stuff and the crafting and everything is there to help them develop the graces as like a part of who they are, so that they have an easier time dealing with the thirst and things like that. So I actually have a list of them, right? So the 5 angelic graces, which are supposed to have been embodied by Sanguinius, obviously, are focus, humility, mercy, restraint, and forgiveness. And immediately you can see that a few of them do directly tie into artwork, because focus obviously ties into artwork, because you need to fucking focus to do anything properly like that. Humility to a degree as well, because, you know what I mean, you don't want to start thinking you're the best guy ever, like you're one of the Emperor's children, because some guy complimented your, like, painting, right? And restraint can also be part of it as well, because, like, there's a point when artwork becomes too much, you know? So, obviously, artwork and stuff like that doesn't tie into all of them, or it does in weird ways, but it does tie into a couple of them, and it's a good place to start. That's basically the concept here. And as like an opposite to these, they have the warrior's virtues. So these are things to keep in mind when they're in combat. So these are savagery, strength, abandon, rage, and detachment. Which, pretty solid opposites, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. It occurs to me that if you were just really shit at art, you would actually learn the graces better. Because, like, you would definitely learn humility if you were just, like, the one terrible sculptor in a room full of, like, demigods. And also, probably mercy, restraint, and forgiveness, because people would be taking the piss out of your shitty sculpture, and you would have to restrain yourself so you don't beat the crap out of them, and, you know, so on and so forth. So, maybe you learn them better at the beginning because you're bad at it. I don't know. So, anyway, we'll get back to the kind of story part of this, right? I'm using this whole Dante thing as an excuse to teach you how like blood angels work in depth, because he really goes through it all bit by bit for the first time here. But yeah, we'll get back to the actual storyline here. So they're given like 4 weeks to like work on artwork and stuff like that. And this is all they do. They meditate in the morning. They do artwork for the rest of the day, basically. Probably go back and meditate for a bit more, so on and so forth. And they're like, obviously it's explained to them a little bit in that they're supposed to be making artwork for their barracks, right? They aren't told that right at the start. At the start, it's all about the virtues and stuff. Or the graces, sorry.
Yeah.
But a little bit in, they're like, the reason you're doing this, you're meant to outfit your barracks. So, get on it. And they all start planning projects they're going to do, right? Bigger things they're going to make. Some guys are doing, like, painting. Some of them are, like, writing stuff. You know what I mean? Like scribing things. I don't know. Like, poems and shit. Some of them are, like, building sculptures and stuff. And Dante decides that he wants to make a statue of an angel for the barracks. Because when he was a kid, his dad used to use tinfoil type stuff to make little angels, which is quite cute. And he remembers this because he still remembers a lot of the time before he was a space marine. So he's like, I want to make one like my dad did. I want to do like a big sculpture, but like based on what my dad did, making these little angels for our little like sand roamer thing that we lived in. Obviously, it takes a bit of planning, so he gets a little sketchbook out and he sits and sketches like ideas and stuff that he has, and he's trying to figure out like a good like inspiration for it. So he ends up drawing the sanguinor a couple of times in his book, because I mean, what better angel is there to take inspiration from than the giant golden fucker that saved my life twice? You know what I mean? Plus, he's seen him face to face a couple of times, so he's got a good idea what this guy looked like. So he's like, sketch him then, maybe I'll get some inspiration from him, the wings and stuff, whatever. And at some point, his teacher, there's like an older space marine who was injured and like lost a leg, so he's got this like janky augmetic, who is the one leading them in the workshop. Funnily enough, really early on, they're like one of, Lawrence, the arsehole space marine that's been with him this whole time. He tries to, like, argue with this old fucking space marine with, like, one leg, and the guy knocks him on his arse. He's like, I might be old and not combat fit, but you're a fucking nooblet. I will have you. Do not fucking start with me, kid. You are still a fucking toddler, even if you are 8 feet tall. But yeah, this guy who's the one, guiding them through this part of their training, comes and asks Dante what he's going to make, and he's like, I'm gonna make this big angel sculpture like my dad used to, blah blah blah. And he's looking through Dante's sketchbook at his ideas, because he's not, started making the sculpture yet. And he's just so he can comment on it, because he just goes around and he's like, I like that idea. No, that's stupid, mate. But he comes over to Dante and he's like, hey then, angel, cool, let's see your sketchbook. And he finds the drawings of the sanguinor, and he's like, suddenly like, whoa, what the fuck? It's like, where the fuck did you see this? He's like, I saw him in the desert. And I also saw him during like my meditation trial. And this dude's like, alright, come with me. Come on, let's go. And he takes Dante out of the room. And he just leaves them all to sit in the workshop and he's like, Dante, come with me. Come on, you're going to the head teacher. Fuck this.
You're better than this. To show to the one.
Some shit's going down here and I'm going to get to the fucking bottom of it. But he's also like, this is above my pay grade. I'm sending you to someone that should be talking about this. Like, the more I talk about this, the more likely I am to be, like, in trouble myself. So, come on.
Yeah.
So he takes him out of the workshop, and he leads him away up through the fortress and everything. And he leads him way up into this, like, it's basically just like a stone cell, like a prison cell, carved into, like, the fortress, way up in this high-ass tower. And it's missing the outer wall. So he like goes into this little squared off room, and it's just like seeing out, like standing on a cliff edge over the deserts of Baal. And he ends up just sitting there. He ends up sitting down with his feet over the ledge, just kicking his legs and that, while he's just like looking at the landscape. Like, this is weird. And then suddenly there's this cunt behind him. So he like hops back up and he's like, shit, what's going on? And it's a chaplain, right? So the guys that handle like the moral side of the chapter, make them follow the rules kind of stuff. And the chaplain's like, I want you to repeat what you told the instructor, because, yeah. And he explains that like he saw the sanguinor in the desert, or sorry, he saw this angel in the desert because he doesn't know what's a sanguinor. He doesn't know what the fuck a sanguinor is. He's like, I saw this angel in the desert and it guided me to water and saved my life. And then later, I almost fell asleep during the meditation trial, and it woke me up, and it like kind of gave me a bit of energy to keep going. And then the chaplain starts like leading them further up into the citadel, and as they go, he explains like about the black rage and the red thirst, like a bit more detail than anyone had actually told Dante yet up until this point. Because like when they first wake up, they've got the thirst there. So they explain it a little bit, but never in much detail. But this guy finally explains it to him, how it all works really. Or more so at least. Maybe know the fine details of it, but... and he explains that like, they almost had to kill Dante while he was in the sarcophagus, because he was freaking out so much. Like, they were like, this guy's definitely feral, we should just shoot him now. Save us time. And like... a lot of the battle brothers that were like watching over them in the sarcophagus were like placing bets on whether or not he was going to get shot in the head. But half of them were like, he's feral, kill him now. And the other half were like, nah, he's like a child of prophecy, this guy. He's going to be something amazing. And if he makes out of this and he's a normal guy, he is going to be a beast. Like, no one goes through this bad a transformation and comes out of it not feral without being like amazing. You know what I mean? Yeah. You've clearly been through some shit and you can handle it. You'll continue to do that as you go forward. So they keep making their way up through this, you know, towers of the fortress, and eventually they get to this bit, and Dante, the chaplain shows Dante this like carving of the sanguinor, and he explains that it's the sanguinor, and what that actually means is this mythical figure of the Blood Angels chapter who only appears when the chapter is in greatest peril to save them and stuff like that. So it appears as if from nowhere from the warp to save the Blood Angels. So this is the point where Dante realizes how important he actually must be if him dying in the desert as like a child who wasn't even a Blood Angel yet was somehow so important to the chapter's survival, or to their future in some way, that the sanguinor turned up to save him. Like, that's crazy. He is a child of prophecy at this point, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a really big deal, you know? It's equivalent to the entirety of the Blood Angels being wiped out. Because that's the level of event that the sanguinor turns up for. That's how important this fucker has to be. And the fact that he's seen him twice, most Blood Angels will live for hundreds of years and die, only ever hearing stories about the sanguinor. And this fucker's met him twice. It's like, this is bullshit.
The main character.
Yeah. So, obviously, the chaplain has realised the significance of this as well, and he decides to show Dante a couple of things, right? And one of the things that he shows him is it's this big ornate box, right? And he opens it up, and inside is a wee like stasis chamber thing. So whatever's in it, it stays there forever, right? And in it is a feather. It's a big, like glorious, pure white feather with little speckles of blood floating in the air around it. This is a pinion feather from Sanguinius himself. So the whole box thing is called the Reliquary of Amet. So he was one of Sanguinius' like top guys back in the day. So Amet kept the feather and kept it in stasis and all this stuff. But the blood drops around it are actually Sanguinius's as well. So there's only two forms of Sanguinius's blood that are like pure. Because remember, a lot of it was put into like the medics, the sanguinary priests, to continue the rituals. There's only two like amounts of his blood that are pure blood. One of them is these drops floating around this feather, and the other is actually, I can show you. See the picture of Dante there?
Yeah.
See how it has like the blood drop shaped gem in the helmet?
Yeah.
That is a blood diamond, and it actually is filled with Sanguinius's blood. Those are the only two unadulterated forms of Sanguinius's blood still in existence. So this is like this feather in the Reliquary of Amet is like, you know, it's like the greatest treasure of the entire chapter, and the chaplain's showing it to Dante like it's nothing. because he's realised how significant this guy really is. He's trying to, like, hammer home the point. Like big shit is going down here. Keep your head in the fucking game, kid. Like, take it serious, for the love of God. There is a brief period during all this that the chaplain tries to figure out if Dante can see the future like Sanguinius could. Because some blood angels, even though they're not like psychers, like librarian level psychers, or even psychers at all, really, still have the ability to see the future just from being Sanguinius' bloodline. Just randomly, some random hulked up dude that has no magical abilities can just see the future once in a while. So he's like, maybe Dante's one of them. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's why he's seeing the Sanguinor, you know? Maybe it's like a vision of the future that's hitting him over and over again. Maybe he's not seeing the guy individually every time, you know? He's like, nope, not at all. Don't have that ability. It's like, just a guy.
They're trying to pinpoint down why he's.
That's exactly it. That's the chaplain's job here, really, is to figure out if this is like some crazy prophecy and this dude's going to be like God of the Blood Angels, or is it some quirk of reality, just a trick, really? You know what I mean? So he's trying to figure out how real this actually is
and how important it is.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the thing here. You have to know to what level this matters. Because, like, if it's really important, this kid's getting locked in a room made of bubble wrap. Like, but like, he realizes he doesn't have this ability, and the chaplain's basically just like, all right, well, anyway, sort off back to what you were doing. Like, he very suddenly has no reverence for Dante whatsoever. He just sends him on his way, whatever hangs short of, like, a kick up the arse. Like, it's really weird. He goes for, like, this is our chapter's greatest treasure. Now, fuck off. Like, just really suddenly changes on a dime. So, moving forward, right? The training goes about as you would expect after this point, right? Oh, for the record, he's told not to tell anyone about the Sanguinor. Just so you know. He's like, by the way, don't tell anyone. Now get the fuck out. Right? This is a secret. Sort off. But yeah, training after this goes about as what you'd expect, right? They keep doing the artwork stuff, they decorate their dorm, they meditate a lot, and they start doing combat training. Eventually, they start going on missions. The missions get gradually more dangerous, more like real Space Marine missions as they go. Because you gotta remember, they're still not in armor. Or, I should say, they're in like flak armor. So the kind of armor we would give our soldiers now, rather than like a suit of powered Space Marine armor, you know? So they are armored, it's just not gonna protect you from much. But they're out doing like scouting missions, you know? Stuff like that. And they gradually get more dangerous and more like real missions. There are a couple of events that I'll mention because they kind of speak to his character more than anything, and you know, weird twists of fate. So, like a while into their training, right? We're talking like a couple years in at least, right? So he's like a proper soldier. He's amazing at artwork now. He kens how to fight. Still not got his power armor though. Important thing here. They get sent to this random hive world to deal with a minor orc invasion. So it's part of 10th Company. They split up into two groups, one commander leading each, and Dante's side ends up getting chased by orcs. It's a whole thing. They realise they have to team up with the first group again because they're getting like bums rushed by a ton of orcs. And the position Dante's group is in, I think it's like a power plant or like an oil refinery type thing. But there is like a huge horde of orcs coming towards them on like buggies, you know, the scrap vehicles that they drive. Yeah. So they're like, right, what should we do? And the guy who's leading the group turns to Dante and is like, right, what's your plan, arseface? Come on. Chop chop. What's the plan here? And he's like, why am I choosing? And he's like, nah, you've got leadership potential. Fucking show me what you can do. So Dante has them put like snipers up high, like tag a few of them from a distance, and then lays a minefield to scatter them all when they come in. And yeah, it goes about as well as you'd expect. The orcs drive straight into the minefield, shitloads of them die, snipers pick off a bunch more, and while they're all scattered and in disarray, the Blood Angels just sawed off. Just leave the orcs wondering where the fuck they went.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dante does a bit of like leadership training in this point because like from day one, everyone, even during his trials, everyone was like, "This guy has leadership potential." So they're like, training him for it, giving him the opportunity to test that properly. Kind of high. The important part of this little bit of the story is when they get back to the other group, the actual like command squad. So it's like a big desert area. They crest this big hill, and in the kind of basin below is their brothers fighting all the orcs. And the brothers have all clearly fallen to the thirst, right? They are fighting with like bare hands and tearing arms off of orcs and stuff, right? It is just pure unadulterated like slaughter and fury going on here, right? They're screaming as they like bite the throats out of orcs and stuff, right? Like, so they're looking at this and they're like, "What the fuck?" And their leader is like, "Yeah, no, they're in the middle of the thirst. We should probably go help them because like they'll win because they're feral right now, but like we don't want them to be like that for too long because then it gets harder to come back. So we should probably go help."
Yeah.
But as he's explaining this is the moment that Dante notices this absurd sight. Flying over the battlefield is this giant golden angel swooping down to like gut orcs and stuff like that with its sword. Fucking Sanguinor's here. What the fuck? So,
Third time now.
third time, yeah. So the guy who's leading them. What was that?
Also, is he the only one who can see him though?
No. They can all see him. As I was going to explain, the guy who's leading their company is like, "Oh yeah, that's the Sanguinor, by the way," and like tells them all the myth of the Sanguinor. And he's like, most people will live their entire lives without ever seeing it. So, like, this is a big deal, everyone. Like, you should all be really fucking proud just to be alive right now that you're seeing this guy in combat. And obviously Dante has the whole thing where he's like, "This is the third time I've seen this motherfucker. What the fuck is going on?" Obviously, he's there because if the other company falls to the Black Rage, that'll probably lead to them killing Dante. So he's there to save the other company, but for the sake of saving Dante. It's all about Dante.
Main character.
Yeah, exactly. Proper main character vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The funny thing is, right, Dante, like, explains to, like, the sergeant leading their group that he's seen this fucker before, right? He's like, "I saw him in the desert. He, like, guided me to war so I didn't die." And the sergeant's like, "Nah, no chance. This is a goddamn miracle. He doesn't turn up for silly shit like that." Just totally, like, fucking lying arsehole.
Wasn't Dante also told not to speak about it, though?
He was, yes. I think seeing a living miracle in front of you maybe makes you forget stuff like that. But like, it's fine because no one believed him anyway. I think at the time he like only says it to the sergeant because those two are like separated from it. They're like ahead of everyone else or something. So he like whispers it to him, and the guy's like, "Fuck off, no chance." But this whole orc situation basically just ends with Dante's group charging into the basin to help their brothers. And again, the first group weren't going to lose anyway, so when these guys turn up with reinforcements, they slaughter the orcs. And life just kind of moves on. It was just kind of another mission, But now they've seen the Sanguinor again. And there is another one of these little, like, kind of middle of the training or kind of early days stories that I'll mention. So this one is again a couple of years later. Now, I should mention, they have like gotten out of the scout company thing. They're considered to be full battle brothers. So they have the black carapace and they have full battle armor now. So he's looking a lot more like this. It's not this. This is different armor. But he's looking like a normal Blood Angel now. Do I have a... that's actually scout armor, to be fair. I don't have a normal Blood Angel. Should have something. Whatever. Good enough. That's a sanguinary priest, so it would be red, not white, and it wouldn't be quite as elegant or roby. But, whatever. Red armor, right? Red armor. Anyway, moving on. So, they're on, normal mission. They've been sent to this random world to cleanse it of Xenos. It's a human colony world, not a big colony, but it's been wiped out by Xenos as far as anyone's concerned. So they've been sent in to kill off the Xenos. That's it. The Xenos in question are, I think they're called the Oreti. The Oreti are not particularly well advanced, and there aren't a particularly large amount of them. The Oreti are like a scavenger race, right? They pick on dead things. So they thought the world was abandoned. So they moved on to this world. And now the death of the colony is being blamed on the Oreti. So these guys are being sent in to cleanse them, right? But in reality, they turned up because all the humans were already dead and just picked apart their colony for scrap metal. So Blood Angels have been sent in to wipe these guys out, and these guys are just like chilling. Like, they're just living life, man. I thought we didn't think anyone lived here, so we thought we'd move in for a while. Is that right? But no, apparently it's not okay. So Dante and his boys get sent down, and for the record, he still has Lorenz with him. Like, you're like 5 years down the line now into their training. Lorenz is still at his side. This guy's at his side for a long fucking time. The two of them are like proper brothers. It's great. So they go down to this planet. They make their way towards the colony, trying to be as stealthy as you can when you're, 8 feet tall and covered in about 46 tons of metal. But, they're surprisingly good at being stealthy sometimes. And as they kind of get to the colony, their little squad splits up. So Dante and Lorenz go forward, and they get like 2 and 2 go other ways. As they're making their way through, Lorenz sees something move past him, and he's like, "What the fuck was that?" And he fires, but he misses. So gets all pissed off because he missed. So he chases after it. Right into an Oreti ambush. So as soon as he gets round this corner, just gunfire. Just peppers him. The thing is, like I mentioned, the Oreti are not particularly advanced, so their weapons are like better than anything we have now. Not enough to penetrate Space Marine armor, though. There are a couple of bigger Oreti there. They're like 9 feet tall, these fuckers, and they've got like bladed hands. These things can stab through the armor. These are the biggest threat. But after the firefight kicks off, because Lorenz and Dante just charge in and start fucking them up, the rest of the Blood Angels Battle Brothers turn up, and they start going at it too. So pretty quickly they wipe out the Oreti that are here. They do find out, because one of them's still alive, they do find out that these things wanted to live in peace. Like, they would have just left if they'd asked, but Lorenz fired first, so they thought, oh, they're just going to kill us. So then they shot back. So, like, these guys were perfectly peaceful. They wanted no bloodshed. They would have just left if they'd asked. It's like, get off our planet. Done. That would have been it. You know what I mean? They are a scavenger people. They do not want a fight. They wanted to leave in peace. They thought that this place was abandoned, Thought it was a dead world. But, yeah. So the commander orders Dante to finish that one off, and he does, and so on and so forth. Now, there's a side bit here, which is Laziel, one of the other brothers, gets a bit stir crazy with the combat. I don't know why he gets so pissed off, but he gets like proper into like Red Thirst territory, going a bit feral, because like after everything's dead, he's still just hacking at a corpse. And they're like, dude, stop. And they like try to pull him back, and he just keeps going. And then as they try to pull him back more, he turns on his brothers. So it ends up with like 3 of them bodying him at the ground to restrain him, and he's still trying to fight back. But the sergeant who's leading them is like, guys, it's cool, he's not in the Black Rage yet, he's just got the Red Thirst, he needs some blood. So it like grabs one of the aliens and like feeds its blood to him. And he starts to chill out and gets a bit drunk, because they can go blood drunk. But the sergeant has all of them drink some of the blood from the aliens, so that they can calm down, because they're all a bit enraged, and that's kind of it. They report in that the place has been cleansed because they're dead, and they wait for evac, and that's kind of it, It's just kind of a sad situation to deal with, because like Dante has this whole thing where he's like, I don't want to shoot this thing because like we've already slaughtered them all, and it was our fault. Like we could have just asked them to leave and they would have went. So that was like a whole moment of like internal turmoil for him. So you kind of see a bit more of his like the mercy side of him coming out, which
Yeah.
it's interesting. And there is one more of these little stories, which again is well significantly further into the future, probably like 10 years, 5 years, something like that. And by this point, again, they're all proper battle brothers. They're fighting properly. They're just doing what Space Marines do at this point. And they get sent to another hive world to take care of some traitor Space Marines that have turned up, called the Purge. It's just a warband that calls themselves the Purge. They're all like Nurgle's guys, so they're all green and minging. And it's been kind of a bad turn for them, because Dante and Laziel got separated from the rest of the squad, and Laziel got injured, and because he's injured, he's kind of getting towards, Black Rage territory, so he's starting to think he's sanguineous, which is not great. And Dante's having to, fight off the Purge while trying to drag this guy's injured ass out of this place. Through all these, underhive tunnels, like a fucking labyrinth. And as Dante's obviously radioing for help, right? But no response. And as they're going, because Dante's like, well, we just need to keep moving, come on, just carries them. And Laziel's starting to say some pretty weird shit, like, we need to get back to the Legion. Dante's like, Legion? What was that? And he's like, I hope the palace holds. And he's like, dude, you're not sanguineous, for the love of God. It's like, shut the fuck up, come on. You're fucking head in the game, man. And he keeps carrying this guy. Eventually, they meet this young girl, and they ask her for help, and she's like, food. And he's like, cool, we brought food specifically for the civilians here. She'll scarf down these wee fucking biscuits and stuff. She's like, alright, come with me, I'll show you where you can get help. So she leads them through the place to this, it's kind of like a bunker, it's a factory or something, that the humans have turned into like a refuge, because it's a factory, so it's pretty sturdy. And they get there and they meet some of the humans and stuff, and Laziel's looking crazier by the minute, right? The fangs are growing and everything, it's not good. So Dante's on the radio again, he's like, I need fucking help, come on, someone. And Lorenz answers him this time, and he's like, what the fuck happened? We thought you guys died. And they're like, nah, we got separated. We need help. Laziel's hurt, and he's starting to go a bit, giant winged guy style. he's 10 minutes from fucking going nuts, and we're in a factory full of humans. It's not a great place to be when that happens. So Lorenz and that are like, right, cool, I'll give you a location on a map to meet us. Fucking meet us there, we'll help you out. So Dante goes to the humans, look, can you tell me how to get to this place? And he shows them the map, and they're like, come on, we'll show you. So a few of the humans lead them out, and they go and they go and they go, and eventually they arrive at the location they're meant to meet, but they are suddenly attacked by Chaos Space Marines from the Purge. So Dante just dumps Laziel and fucking charges in, because he's trying to save the humans, because humans have no chance of hurting these Space Marines, or surviving, really, unless they're killed. So he just charges in head first and slaughters these Chaos Marines. But he's kind of feral now, because he's just torn them apart with his bare hands, and he's because it's kind of a stress response, right? So he's been stressed out because Laziel's hurt, and one of your brothers falling into these kind of drags you with them. So if one goes, everyone kind of goes. It's a problem. So he's been getting closer to it because he's been carrying Laziel, who's getting closer to it. And then something about tearing these Space Marines apart with his bare hands kind of puts him into proper feral territory. So he comes back and he's right on the edge, and it's as soon as one of the humans says something to him, he just loses it and fucking lunges for them. And the next thing that he's kind of aware of is a giant golden fist punching him in the face and sending him 10 feet backwards onto his arse. And then, the next thing he sees after he kind of, because when you punch in the face, you're kind of all over the place. When his senses come back to him, next thing he's just a sanguinor over him, who basically just does the go to sleep hang and just, boom, knocks him out. So, he wakes up shortly after to Lorenz over him, but they're, outside now. They're on, a landing pad away at the top of the hive. Because it turns out the rest of his brothers just cleared the place out and came and got them. So he finds out Laziel is still alive, but he's unconscious, and he himself slaughtered all but one of the humans that were with him. He tore them apart with his bare hands and teeth. But, like, that's kind of just what happens, you know? So they have to kill the last one, because no one can find out that blood angels are actually vampires, obviously. But this is another, like, big turning point for Dante, because obviously he feels horrible about all of this. Like, he still remembers being a human for the most part, right? So he's like, he's not separated from them like this, or like a lot of them are. A lot of them forget being human when they become a space marine. He didn't. So he takes it really hard that he did this to a bunch of humans, you know? And the fact that, like, they cover it up like they're above them and stuff like that. It's very grim. So he settles on a couple of things, and first of all, he's very confused why the Sanguinor saved him again, which is another good point. That's the fourth time he's seen this fucker. They're basically roommates at this point, like...
might as well just take him up for dinner at this point.
I know, right? Just hanging out all the time like they're best buds. It's weird. It's a very abusive relationship, though, to be fair, since the Sanguinor did just knock him the fuck out. But, you know, whatever. So, yeah. So, from this, Dante makes a point of, like, restraining the red thirst and the black rage within himself, right? It becomes, like, his whole thing, is he will not succumb to these things ever again. And he also makes the choice to never drink blood from a living creature ever again.
Okay.
Which is a big deal. That's a big thing for a blood angel, right? So, like, because some of them will drink from a human, like a serf or something like that, without killing them. They'll just drink a bit, you know? Or the serf will offer it to them most of the time. Stuff like that. Yeah. But Dante makes the choice, never again, not from any living creature, be it human, alien, or animal. It's not happening, never again. And he does stick by that, for the record. He sticks to that really well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of kind of character building goes on for Dante. But as a last bit to round out this whole section, in the like 100 or so years that follow, it's probably like 80 years after this point, actually. So, like, 100-year-old Dante now, right? 100-year-old Dante is captain of his company. He did actually rise through the ranks of leadership. So he's already 100 years in. He's already a captain. Lorenz is still by his side, and around this point, Dante has been tasked with being the one in charge of recruitment. So he's now in charge of the 10th company. So he's the master of recruits. So he has to go around, or him and his company or a few people really, have to go around Baal Secundus and Baal Primus and let everyone know that the time of trials is upon them, so that people can go and do what he did, you know, do the big journey to go and take part in the trials. Yeah. And there's a point that they're back on his home world, and they're in one of the little lander ships, flying to go to, like, the next major settlement and stuff. And they're going over the salt waste that Dante grew up in, and Dante decides that they should be told, you know? We should tell the salt clans. So he tells the pilot to land. And he goes out, and, like, there's very little point in telling the salt clans, because there's very few of them, you know? It's not a settlement, they're nomadic. And there's not a lot of people here, so the chances of getting recruits from them is very low. So the pilot had been like, what's the point? Like, there's like 5 of them. Like, who cares? Just say no now, it'll be fine. It's like, no, land, order, go. So Dante steps out, and obviously as soon as this thing lands, everyone is out of their crawler things that they live in, with their kids and everything, to see what the fuck is going on. And then this giant red armored angel walks out, and they're all like, what the fuck? Everyone's terrified and, like, enraptured at the same time, and all the kids are, like, hiding behind the parents and everything. And Dante explains that the time of trials is upon you, you know? Like, make your journey to Angel's Fall and take part in the trials, and we will be taking 50 recruits to join us as Battle Brothers. And everyone's just terrified or apprehensive. And then a few of the kids, like, step forward, but none of them really approach him until one just bails from the back of the crowd, runs right up to him, this young boy, runs right up to him, standing right in front of him, only one not too scared to get close to him. And this young boy is like, 100 years ago, a young boy from our clan abandoned us to go and become an angel. And apparently he like became an angel, or became, what was it, the Lord of Angels, and fights dragons in space and stuff like that. It's clearly like half true, half kid nonsense.
Yeah, it's kind of got missed, like a miss now.
Yeah. And the kid's like, do you know him? Like, to Dante. And Dante obviously can't say, I'm him. Right? So he has to he's like, he kind of faffs about like a diplomat would and doesn't say yes or no to any of it. And the kid's like, that's definitely you. I can tell it's you. And there's a bit where Dante starts to back off to go back in the lander, and the kid's like, could I do that? They say I'm brave. Could I become an angel? Dante's like, well, anything's possible, kid. It's like, fucking he managed it, anyone fucking can. And yeah, I suppose that's a good place to kind of leave off for there. So Dante did actually get to go back to his clan and kind of encourage the next generation as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is where we're going to leave off. Dante is now captain of the 10th company. Well, I think 10th company is always the recruit company, or I could be wrong. But Dante is a company captain, at least. So, for the record, right, the way it works is there is a captain for each of the 10 companies. The companies all specialise in different things for the most part. And then you have the chapter master above them all, right? There are, side roles that aren't really in that hierarchy. Because, your chaplains and your medics and stuff, or your sanguinary priests, don't really fall under the same hierarchy. But they are still, told what to do by the chapter master. So, just so you know. So he's, one rank below being the Lord of Angels, like this kid thought he already was. There's only one guy in his way. Although, to be fair, he's the least experienced captain, so technically there's 10 guys in his way, because he'd have to kill all of them too. But that's a separate issue. So, next time we will continue Dante's storyline from the point of him being a captain. And I'll tell you what, right? There's only one story between him being a captain and him being chapter master. So, next episode, you get to see how Dante became fucking chapter master, Lord of Angels himself. And, for the record, this is the chapter master's armor. So, that's why Dante's always depicted like this. It's because he is the chapter master. This has been his armor for 1,000 years,
Yeah.
So, we're gonna go from being, normal Blood Angel Captain Dante to this Dante next episode. Which is a very good story.
Well,
Big stretch. Would you like to round us out for today?
sure can do. Well, thank you guys for listening to yet another episode of the Iterators of the Imperium podcast, season 7. Yeah. Yeah. I like you mean this, alright? We'll catch you in the next one. Take care and peace.
Bye.